Hello, it is I, Dr. Brian Lorgon 111, and today I'm trying a puzzle game called Tametsi. It's kind of a Minesweeper like. A long time ago I played a game called Demon Crawl, which was like Minesweeper with roguelite meta progression kind of added on it. This one seems to have like a bunch of gimmicks. I have played very little of this, so I don't know if it's going to be good. Number something. Right click to flag mines, so I can do this. And then that solves the puzzle. And then something I want to test out, if I redo that, it says that there's like a drawing mode. Can I just like drag? No. And I think I'd press D to toggle drawing mode. Oh, this is for like actually drawing. I see. Okay, there's something else with drawing. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not sure if this game is going to be good or interesting. So if you are watching, every puzzle can be completed without guessing. That's nice. If you're watching, um, then I guess it did turn out to be good. Uh, and if it wasn't good, then I probably am throwing this video on the floor. Okay, so every tile can be completed, every puzzle can be completed without guessing. So no, the only one it can be is this one and this one. Right. And is there a way for me to clear all the tiles adjacent to this since I've already marked one next to this one? I don't think there is. So I'm just going to click these for right now. Okay. And when we correctly solve things, it goes like that. Great. The number in the upper right starts as the total number of mines. It counts down as you flag tiles even if you're wrong. Okay, understood. And I guess the drawing node might be if you're like taking notes at different things or whatever. Okay, so there's 3 mines to start. And this one's already touching a mine. Oops, you've uncovered a mine. You may reset, go back to choose a new puzzle, or click here to undo. I'm going to click here to undo. So I accidentally clicked that because I was moving the mouse too quickly. That is fine. Okay, so this one's already next to one, so I can click all of these. And the only one this one could be next to is this, which allows me to do that. I see. So if I click a 0, it does open up all the adjacent tiles. So that's a nice affordance. And then this one must go here. 3 means it must be both of these. Yeah, so on a hexagonal grid, there's kind of more constraints or something, which makes a number of the puzzles seem to go more quickly, from what I can tell. Okay, there is 0 up in the corner, and so that's how I can know that I can click these without guessing. I'm kind of going quickly. Okay, so you never have to guess. Gimmicks. So it's not always a rectangular grid or a hexagonal grid. Here's a crazy grid. Okay, so 2. These are only next to these two. 2. These are only next to these two. 2. These have already been marked, which means these are open. 1 means I can open all of these and all of the adjacents to these. The only guy this one is next to is this. 3 has to be these two. Great. 1, the only thing he's next to is this. This guy's already got his 2. This guy's already got his 1. This guy's already got his 1. This guy can only be next to this, which means this guy's okay. And therefore this can go here. 2 has already got his 2. 5. Interesting, that's a big number. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to mark all of these. So we're down to 6 mines left. This guy already has 1, 2, 3, 4. One of these two has to be it to get this 2, which means this one is not it. And then this 2 means this one is it, which means this one's not it. This one can go over here. And then, since this is all blocked off, it seems like I have to make progress in the puzzle somewhere over in this direction. So one of these 2 for this 2, which means one of these 3 for this 3. Or perhaps I've mismarked something. Is also a possibility. In any case, there are... Oh no, hold on. I've already got 2 of these. Got it. I've already got 2 of these next to the 3. and one more of them has to be here, which means all of these are safe. So then what? This one is already touching 1, so I can do this. 5 is already touching 3, so there's going to be 2 over here. There's going to be 1 over here. Ah, this 2 is only touching 2, which means it has to be these 2, which means this one is safe, which means this one is safe, which means this one is safe, which means this one is safe. And now the 5, 1, 2, 3, it has to be these 2, which means this is safe. All right. And that's safe. Actually, there's only 1 more mine left. So let's find it. It's right here. Ta-da! We did it. All right. Some tiles contain a question mark. They can have any number of neighboring mines, including 0. Okay. That'll be interesting. All right, lots of question marks. We've got a 2 here, and those are the last 2. Okay, so we didn't need the question marks because with the count and with the other numbers around. So I guess these are all designed. Okay, now we're on a rectangular grid. Tiles meet at a quarter. Our neighbors. A yellow symbol above the mine count will let you know. Ah, so this little thing in the upper right says diagonals also count. Okay, so one of these 2 satisfies this one, which means this one is also satisfied, so all 3 of these are openable. So that's kind of like standard Minesweeper stuff. Also, these 2 go with this guy. This is an open thing with a question mark, which means this is already there, which means that is safe, which means these can be opened, which means all these can be opened. In order for this guy to have 3, it has to be these 3, which means this one can be opened. This guy's already got his 2, and this guy's already got his. Great. Numbers beside rows tell you how many mines are in that row. They don't count down. Okay, so there are 3 total in this row. Oh, interesting. And since I know that there's only one of these 2, and 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 one of these 2, okay, I can draw some inferences. So suppose it were this one, and this one, and this one in the middle. I think that satisfies everything. And then with 4, I think it would have to be spaced the other way. Like that. And then, I see, and then the upper right is the count, which tells me it's 3 again, so we're back to the same puzzle as the top one, which I just did wrong. Okay, interesting, interesting. And 7 is, am I on puzzle number 7 right now? Yeah, now we're up to puzzle number 8. There's a mine count for each color in a puzzle. Total mine count includes mines under colored tiles. So there's 9 total mines. 3 of them are red, 2 of them are blue. Understood. So I know there's a mine here and not here due to the 1. I know there's a mine here. And those are counting down. So there's 1 remaining. Got it. Or 1 remaining blue color mine, for example. Okay, so these go here. 2, there's red, and okay, this tells me that I have to do this, which means there are no more blues, which means I can open up both of these. And as for reds, there are 2 more red mines, which means both of these have to be marked, and then there is 1 more other mine, which means that has to be marked. Great. All right, 12, diagonal. Hover over a row or column hint to highlight the affected tiles. Clicking toggles a persistent highlight. Okay, understood. So 0 here means I can open up all of these. So far we've marked no mines, but this one has a 1, which means this has to be marked. This one also has a 1, which means it's one of these, but furthermore, because there's a 2 here, it has to be one of these 2, which means this one is unmarked. Then what else can I do? One says that it's one of these. One says that it's one of these. There are 4 in here, which means 3 of these remaining ones. All right, that's a lot. And there's one here. I'm unclear how to make progress at this point. I know that most of these will be marked. Oh, there's a 2 here. All right, which means I can mark that one. So I know 2 of 3 of these will be marked. One of these 3 will be marked. One of these 3 will be marked. How does that help me? Let's see, one of these 2. 2 of these. Only one in here. I'm not sure, like I could click to toggle the persistent highlights if I wanted. And I guess that's just to like show where the intersection of different things is. I guess maybe on a larger puzzle I might want that at some point in the future. Also, there was something with like shift and control. I'm not seeing the, oh, control shows adjacent guys. All right, so basically that kind of like helps you out with remembering that diagonal guys count as adjacent, for example. Okay, what am I not thinking of that is a set of constraints that could help me solve the puzzle? There's a 2 here, which means one of these 3. So I know one of these 2. I know one of these 3. Aha! So one of these, but there's a 2 here. Which means, since it's only one of these, this one has to be 1. Which means I can unlock this one. Which allows me to unlock these. Which allows me to mark this. Okay. All of a sudden, we got ourselves, at least temporarily, unstuck. Also, I've got my 1 here, which means I can open up all of these. Great. 1 here, but 2 among these 3 means this guy is, which means this guy is not, which means this guy is. I see, and this 3 got grayed out because we already satisfied him. Hadn't paid attention to that before, but that is useful. There are 2 in this row, so it's got to be these 2. Then there can only be 1 more among these. There's 2 more among these, and there's 1 more among these. This 4 tells me it is 1 of these, but there have to be 2 more here. And so if it's only 1 of these, then this one has to be 1, which means I've gotten all of my 3, which means these can be uncovered. And if there's a 2 here, that tells me it's these, which means it can't be that, which means it is this. And this one, yeah, we've already found all the mines, so I can uncover both of these. Okay, great. I have done it. 4 amigos. All right. So we just have a shared count, and so we need to work on each of these until we get stuck, and then we'll use our shared count number to get us unstuck. Is my guess, is my anticipation of what's going on here. Where can I even get a foothold into this puzzle? Because at a glance... Well, there's a 1 here, so it's got to be this one or this one, which will already satisfy this, so all of these can be opened. Then I don't see how to make progress again. How about on this guy? There's something here with the 3s, so the 3 here. There's a 1 here, so it's at most 1 of these 2, but if this guy's got 3, then both of these 2 have to be, since only 1 of these can be. So that gets 2 of the 3s, which means it's 1 of these 2. That doesn't tell me a whole lot left. And then with the 2 here, well, I know 1 of these 2 is, and that would be the other one to satisfy the 2, which means I can open this one up. All right. Guess there's no background music in this game, there's just sound effects. You would think that I would have noticed that to call it out earlier in the game, but somehow I managed to go this long before realizing just how silent everything felt. I know one of these. The silence is now making me worry about the fact that people who are mowing their yards like 2 houses down now are going to be picked up by the microphone or something. Just don't worry about it, Brian. It'll be okay. I don't see more progress to make right here, so let's move on again. This seems like impossible to get a foothold into. And then up here, if exactly one of these is here, aha, then the 2 means that one has to be, which means it can't be these, which means it is this, which means it can't be this, which means it is this, which means it can't be this or this, which means it's that, and I can open that up. All right, so we're down to 18 mines. Let's come take a look at this guy again. Exactly one of these, but this guy is a 2, which means it has to be this, which means it's not this. This guy means that one has to be 3, but there's 4 possibilities here. 1 could be either of these, which would change outcomes here and here, so I don't think I can make any more progress right there right now. One of those doesn't help. One of these doesn't really help. This 3, it has to be one of these 2, but it's only touching certain things over here. All right, is there some way to make progress over here? Since this is 2, and this is 2, and this is 2, since this is 2, at least one of them has to be touching the center guy. And since this is 2, at least one of them has to be touching the center guy, which means these 2 can be opened up. That was the thing that's going to break it open, because now here's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and similarly here's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a lot of mines taken care of. Also, we got these guys 2s, which means I can do this, which means I can do this. Okay, so that one was completely solvable. Now we're down to 7 mines. One of them is here. That's 1, 2, 3. Not sure about this. 4. There's still 3 other mines. 5. 6. So I think that means there's only 1 mine among these 3. But I'm still not out of guessing mode at this point. So what else have I failed to see that could help me solve this puzzle? I'm fairly certain there's still one other quote-unquote obvious way to break it open that I have not yet seen. So let's see if my eyeballs and or my brain will spot it. So if this is 3, at least one of them must be touching the 2, but possibly both. So that really doesn't help me here. There's at most one of these. There's at most one of these. Well, exactly one of those. There's exactly one of these. Exactly one of these. Exactly one of these. Okay, so there's a parity thing going on here. Okay, let's use drawing mode here for a second. So, exactly one of these 2 has to be done. Then I'm going to go switch to a different color. Exactly one of these 2 has to be. But if it's oh, hold on. Yeah, if it's exactly one of those 2. I just saw it. Okay, turn off the drawing. So, one of these 2 has to be, and 2 already has this, which means this one can be opened. And now that I have that, It is one of these. However, I know it has to be one of these two due to this one, which means neither of these. And now I know it has to be this one. Okay, now the whole thing has gotten cracked open. So that finished off that. Has to be this one, which means this one is openable, which means it's not that. And now there are 3 mines left. One of them is here. 2 of them are here, which means there's no room to fit a mine here, so I can open this up. Which means that goes there, which means that goes there, which means that goes there, etc. Okay. Achievement unlocked. Unlocked is the name of the achievement. All right. 11. Simple path. How much more simple could it be? Okay, so we've got color groups. 1 says there has to be something here, which means there's not something here. 2 tells us exactly one of these is a thing. What? Ah, but I can open up this one because of the 1 over here. I missed that. Okay. Seemed like it was already forcing me into a guessing situation, but no, I just hadn't read the puzzle properly. Okay. 1, 1, 1, so exactly one of these. 4 means all 3 of these have to be, so that can't go there. This 2 is already satisfied, so I can open up his neighbors. This 2 means one of these, and there's only one more blue, so if it's one of these, that means all 3 of these can be opened. And then, so it's one of these 2, and I don't know which yet. There's a 3 here. 1, 2, it's one of these, so this is openable. Which means now, due to this 1, I know that it's this one, not this one. Okay, great. 2 is touching this, so one of these. 2 is touching these, though, so both of these. So that means this one opens, which means these open. Yeah, the different geometry for the mine, quote-unquote, grid definitely makes this feel less repetitive than just like normal Minesweeper and more mental work. Like maybe I'll get accustomed to the various hexagonal, octagonal, square, etc. grids. But until I do so, I do feel like I am forced to spend a lot of mental effort, which is fun and useful in a puzzle game. Okay, so there's a 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 things, and 3 of them still need to be filled. And then over here, there's 1 thing where 2 of them need to be filled. But there's only 3 reds, and 3 of them have to be adjacent to this 4, which means all the ones that aren't adjacent to the 4 can be opened, which means this is 1, which means this is 1. And so that's 3 of the 4, and so now one of these 3. This 2, it's got to be one of these 2, so this one is openable, which means given that there's a 2, it has to be this one and not this one. And then I can open this. And then exactly one of these 2 and both of these 2, because that's the only thing this 2 is next to, which means this opens up and these open up and this opens up. 2 has to be one of these. 3, it has to be all 3 of these because that's all that's available, which means this opens up, as does this. So 2, it's one of these. There's only 1 yellow left, and we know that it's one of these to satisfy the 2, which means, oops, all 3 of these can be opened. And then 3, one of these plus these 2 means I can open both of these. Great. Now this 1 is only next to this guy, so it has to be this guy, which means it's not this guy. So this is fun to play. I don't have a good sense of if this is fun to watch. So maybe this will have to be one that I air like on its own to see if people would want to see more of it. I'll have to think about that. There are only 2 mines remaining. Both of them have to be next to this. No, one of them is next to this too. Furthermore, one of them is in this region, which means I can definitely open up this bit safely. One of them is over here. One of them is over here, which means both of these can be opened. This guy is only next to this, so it has to be this one. And this 2 says it has to be this one. All right, I've solved the puzzle. Go, go, gadget me. Okay, now we have different size squares. Uneven grid is the title. 1, you must be here. Where else can I break open something? 1, it's one of these two. 1, these two are already touching it, so this time there's no angle thingy, and if I hit control, it shows me that this 1 is only adjacent to these. So one of these is, so this one can be opened. Great. And now the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, has 5 neighbors. So we're not sure yet. However, this 1 could only be adjacent to 1, so it couldn't be both of these at the same time. So it's at most one of these, which means 4's other 3 neighbors must all have mines, since only one of this one can be the 4th. And so that seems like it's going to be useful somehow, eventually. This is interesting. What else can I do that is useful here? This guy is only adjacent to these. And that doesn't tell me a whole lot. This guy is adjacent to just these 2. Which doesn't tell me a whole lot. Yeah, where else can I crack this sucker open? Well, this one, it's at most one of these, which means it's at most one of these. It really doesn't give me a lot of information to go on. There's a 3 up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 out of these 3, but no one else is kind of touching all of those. How about this 3? 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's at most one of these due to this 1, which means both of these must be mined in order to get this guy's count up to 3. So then having done that, then what? I appreciate this drawing thing. I added a drawing thing kind of like this to my Zelda 1 randomizer tracking tool or whatever for just making arbitrary markup. And that's very useful for things that you're not exactly sure how the player will want to do their own note-taking and to give them just kind of like free-form extra note-taking. I think that's a nice affordance, and I appreciate it. I see, and then Shift just toggles my drawing really quick if I want to like peek at what I drew. Okay, and Control is the thing that toggles adjacencies of whatever I'm currently hovering. Okay, so in any case, I was over here. I was trying to solve puzzles, because that's what I do, apparently. I am the puzzle solver. There are 12 mines remaining. That's a lot. One of them is here. One of them is here. But some of these overlap. Okay, can always solve without guessing. So what else can I cleverly do here that I failed to see? This 2 is not adjacent to any of them yet. But there's lots of blocks with only 2. This 1 seems pretty valuable, but I don't have enough information working near him. So if this guy's 1 were this one, then all these would open up. But if this guy's 1 were this one, then we still wouldn't have much information. And I'm not sure what else I can do with that. And knowing that it's exactly one of these 2 would only help with this guy, and this guy's not open yet with a number. It's exactly one of these 2, but it once again doesn't help me yet. Oh, here we go. 3. It's exactly one of these 2, which means this can be opened up because one of these is going to satisfy this one. Okay, that is progress. Now that there's a 3 here, what can I do? There's 4 guys adjacent to this 3. Is anybody else adjacent to 2 of them? Yes, this 1 is adjacent to 2 of them. So only one of these can be, and since there's a 3 here, the other 2 have to be here. Okay, that opened up a whole lot. That should... Oop! I uncovered mine. Oh dear. That means... Wait... I have 2 next to this 1. Oh no! I've done something horribly wrong. I did something a while back. I marked this one a while ago, and that's wrong, apparently. No, that is a mine too. I think I need to reset. So how do I reset? Reset, down here. So why did I do that? I marked this. There was a 1 here, which meant it was at most one of these. There was a 3 here. So yeah, I had to mark that and that. That was correct. And then I did something else. Extremely clever. Except it was wrong. So somehow I opened up this. What was my logic for opening this up? It was something involving a nearby 2. Had I already opened up something else? Like, I knew it was exactly one of these. But I don't remember where my faulty logic was or where I managed to break anything in. Like, I knew I had done something up here, but that wasn't related to all of this. So what did I do? So once again, 2 adjacent to this. There's only 1 of these 3 blocks. Ah, right. There's only 1 of these 3 blocks, but I know it has to be one of these 2 blocks. So that's how I open this up. Then I said... I might have said something wrong. 1 is adjacent to these 2, but he's not adjacent, diagonally adjacent to this. So maybe that's what I just misdid. Okay, so 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, and 1. So, at most one of these means both of these have to be what he calls. Which means this one has to open up. I tried to do it diagonally from this 1 or whatever, and that's incorrect. Okay. I think I see the flaw in my logic from before. Okay. So, exactly one of these has to be to satisfy this 3, which means all the other ones next to the 1, namely these, can open up now. Great. This one is now only next to this, so this has to be a mine. With the 2s over here, 2 out of these 3. In order for it to be 2 out of these 3, but only have 1 of them here, it has to be these 2, and this one has to be open, which means this one can be opened. For this 2, it has to be this one. That 1 is still unknown. It's still one or the other of these. We've got a question mark here, so that's not going to help me. Then up here, I'd managed to do something. So I opened up this because of this 1. Then with the 4, there's currently 3 of these. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 of those 4 have to have thingies. Only 1 of these, 2 of these. There's still 9 more mines. Where else can I make good progress? There's a lot of guys adjacent to this too, but I don't have any useful number adjacencies. The 3 and the 1 are currently both dealing with these guys, and I don't have a way to solve them. It doesn't appear that there's enough information. This feels like the portion of the puzzle where I'm going to end once I use my count. So let's go elsewhere. There's exactly one of these. There's exactly one of these. There's exactly 2 of these. Is there something I can do with parity here? No, you're the only guy adjacent to this, other than you. Okay. So, with this one, there's at most one of these. That doesn't help me with the 2. With the 2, there's at most one of these 3, or exactly one of these 3. And there's no one else who's adjacent to multiple of those guys other than this one. So there's at most one of these and at most one of those, yeah. And I realize these and those also are not very good in terms of hearing my logic. I need to make sure I'm gesturing with the mouse at the right thing, at the right time, and even then I expect it's perhaps difficult to follow what I'm reasoning out. Okay, so where else can I make progress? Question mark here isn't going to help me. Yeah, I'm really struggling to see what else that I can do. So let's start drawing some notes and think about what we can do kind of further out, I suppose. Because I don't see any other way to make progress. So let's do a parity kind of thing. So let's go into drawing mode. These 2, it's one or the other of these 2. These 2, it's one or the other of these 2 due to the 3. Where else do I have parity things? Here. These 2, it's one or the other of these 2. Are there any other places that I have just kind of basic parity? Yes-ish, which is if I do blue, this one, let me just go ahead and just kind of like draw it like this. One of these 4. So one of those 2, one of those 2, one of those 2, one of these 4 are 4 of my 9 mines. Then there's only 2 kind of over in here. Like, there's a lot of mines left, and there's only so many places for them to be. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how many remaining squares are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 mines have to fit in there. And furthermore, there are some squares that can't be repeated due to this 2. And this 2. So it's hard to pack all those mines into that limited space. And so I think there is some reasoning to be had. But I am not yet having it. I still need a little bit more. Well, yeah, with this 2, there's at most one of these 2. No, it could be both of these 2, and this one could be open. Okay, that's a lie. With this 4... Oh, with this 4, it's at most one of these 2. 2. So both of these have to... Here we go, here we go. So let me get out of drawing mode. Both of these have to be mines in order to satisfy this 4. So what extra information has that gleaned me? Since exactly one of these has to be to satisfy the 4, that means the other ones next to the 1 can be opened, and that's going to crack open the rest of the puzzle, maybe, except for we just opened up a question mark, which is not as puzzle cracking as it could be. However, this 2 now says it's going to be these, which means I can open up this one next to the 4. And now that I got this one, I could look at my puzzle thingies to remember that now I'm going to be able to open this to get another question mark. Not as helpful as it could have been. So I dealt with this. I dealt with this. These are still undealt withable. And the added question mark over here is not helping me solve this very well. But now there's only 5 mines remaining. So is there a way for me to clear all of my drawing? I guess that's my pen size. Erase all. Here we go. Great. Good job, drawing tool, for having the things that I need. So, once again, one of these, 2 of these. I'll use a different color for that. 2 of those. I'm going to like double it up to show that there's 2 of them or something. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's only one other mine in the puzzle. So of here, here, and here, only one of them can be a mine. But I think I'm still lacking information. And so is there something else that opened up? Yes, there is. Because this one, let's get out of drawing mode, this one is next to this already, which means this can be opened. Which means this is a mine to satisfy the 2. Which means this is a mine to satisfy these 1s. Okay, and so now there's 1 here, and there's 2 among these, which means these both open because they're not adjacent to any of those numbers. And this one already has a friend, which means this one opens, which means the 2 now has to be these 2. And it's one of these 2, and this guy's already got a friend right here, which means it's not this one, so it is this one. Okay. All right. So that's what this game is like. And apparently there are lots of puzzles. I think I'm going to air this as a one-off and just see if people enjoy watching me play it. It's kind of fun to play, but I'm not sure how it will be to watch, and so I want to get some feedback. I have a lot of games currently in my backlog queue or whatever, so I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I may or may not come back to this at some point in the future. But for now, that has been a look at Tametsi. I hope, as always, that you all are having a great day, and I will see you again soon for something else. For now, bye-bye.